It's one of the things I try hardest to do at the channel, to bring a range of sneakers: Asics, New Balance, Jordan, Yeezy, Nike, Adidas, as much as I can possibly can. And today what we're bringing you is that Reebok, which you already know because you've clicked on this video. It's the Reebok Allen Iverson Questions Low. But I do love to be able to bring that variety, especially when you can do stuff like this right here. You should be able to see some of the rarest Reeboks in the world. The Reebok Yeezys. I had no idea that Yeezy actually spent a little time over in the Reebok brand before he got really big into his sneakers, but they're like one of 50s, and I was able to bring a video from my good friend Shoe Butter to the channel a few months ago before all this lockdown got in our way. But I do like to bring those Reeboks, and I do like to talk about different brands at the channel and sort of spread as wide and as thin as possible. And that's why today what we're going to be doing is bringing you a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Reebok Question Low Oatmeal. This is the Tokyo About a 23 Sneaker Channel, Tokyo About a 23 Sneaker Channel des. Mainichi Absuno de, Mainichi Miti Kudasai. And every day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. Yes, we're in mini lockdown, lockdown light, semi-lockdown, diet lockdown, whatever you want to call it, which keeps me at home these days. But still, the green screen's holding up. Fingers crossed it'll keep doing that, and we won't be getting disturbed by my little girl who's sleeping next door, or my dogs who are sleeping right beside me here. But yeah, that's the situation here in Tokyo, Japan. The numbers are still pretty low if you're interested, but they are still keeping us in lockdown as a preventative measure rather than a reaction to big numbers, and hopefully they'll keep those numbers low. But what I'm doing today is just get straight into it and get looking at this Reebok sneaker, because there's an awful lot that I want to talk about. Number one, I just want to make absolutely clear that you guys know that these came first before these. What we're looking at there is the Adidas Yeezy 380 Blue Oat, I believe it's called. And you could be mistaken for thinking, oh look, Yeezy came out with an oat themed sneaker, so here's Reebok coming out with an oat themed sneaker. Wrong, because these guys are retros and they dropped originally in 1999. We're talking 21 years ago. So these guys here are the originals, and if anything, it's Yeezy and the guys over at the Adidas line who are stealing a little bit of the design from Allen Iverson, the Reebok guys here. And just as a general sort of big thing, if we have a look at it from the big perspective and look at that kind of tan in the toe box there, look at that white that runs through most of the sneaker, look at that blue outsole, and then when we flip over to those 380 Blue Oats, you can see a similar sort of splash of colour throughout in those earth tones opposite that blue on there. So I think you could be forgiven for thinking that maybe, just maybe, Yeezy and his buddies over at Adidas actually had a look at Allen Iverson's shoe here and said, you know what, let's take that and make that the base for our Blue Oats, but not the other way around. So any of you guys out there that are not from my generation and are thinking, oh, why is Reebok following Yeezy? It's the other way around. And of course it's the other way around because it's an Allen Iverson shoe. And Allen Iverson is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And I like to equate it to tennis. I don't know if people out there, can put those two together. But for me, if you think of tennis and you think of Nadal, you think of Federer, and you think of Djokovic, those three being the major players, but they're very different players. Djokovic is kind of robotic and he's just non-stop and nothing, Nadal is just this brute of a man and he just sort of barrels through everything. But then Federer, it's all about finesse and class, and he just sort of glides around the place, and it's Federer who I prefer out of those three. And then when it comes to my basketball players, it's the Allen Iversons that I prefer against. From his generation, you'd be talking people like Shaquille O'Neal, who's obviously a brute of a man, obviously one of the greatest basketball players of all time, not taking that away from him. But that's one of the beauties of basketball, is that the different body types can shine. And right now what you could equate it to is Steph Curry and LeBron James, and you can go back 20 odd years and say Shaquille O'Neal and Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson very much more in the Steph Curry mold than in the Shaquille O'Neal or LeBron James mold. More finesse, more about gliding around the court, more about technique rather than power, if you know what I'm saying. And so that's another reason why I love to bring you his shoes. And I have done it before with the Year of the Rat. Hopefully that's behind me here right now, and you can see those guys there, which is a great sneaker to review because it's a really, really beautiful sneaker. That in itself, I think, was a high. I don't think it was a mid. But what we're looking at today is actually a low. And that kind of took me by surprise, because when I saw the pictures, I thought that's got to be higher than a low, if you know what I mean. I'd say a mid at least, but they're calling it a low, so we'll go with that. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to dip into it and have a look at some of the main features on it and some of the little detailing in it that I think makes it an absolutely cracking sneaker. There is a question over materials. Now, I'm going to go with suede on the toe box. Let's zoom in there and have a look at that material up close. To me, what I'm thinking is that that is suede in there. I haven't read either way, whether it's soft leather or suede or whatever it possibly could be velvet for all I know. But I'm going to go with that tan on the toe box there, which gives it that earth tone and gives it that oatmeal kind of feel about it. I'm going with suede on there. Now, what I have read on the rest of the sneaker is tumbled leather. I say no. I don't believe that that's tumbled leather on there at all. I think it's super soft leather. I don't think it's tumbled leather at all. Now, I might be wrong in that, and sometimes I'm wrong in the things I say at the channel, but I always point you guys to the About section of the channel, which talks about me learning about sneakers through the process of having this channel. So if I do get something wrong, it's an opportunity for me to learn, and you can tell me in the comments down below, and I'm not precious about it. Don't mind when people tell me if I've got something wrong, point out what I should have said instead. So if I am wrong about A, that suede on the front section of the sneaker, or B, those soft leathers on the rest of the upper, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to thank you for it. I will surely appreciate it. But if we zoom in on the sneaker and have a little close-up look at it, there are some features on there that I just absolutely love. Specifically, I want to start at the back of the sneaker. Now, if we look at the whole thing, I guess the main thing that your eyes are drawn to maybe is the number 3 down low, which is Allen Iverson's number. But really, for me, it isn't the number on there. It's actually the branding. If you go up a little bit and you can see that Reebok branding with the sort of 2-stripe, 3-stripe kind of effect on there, but it's on the corner of what looks like an O, but it's not an O. What it's supposed to be is a Q for question to go with the name of the sneaker. And I just love that kind of detailing. I think it's really cool when a sneaker and a company spend time to make that extra little bit of effort, as they have done here. So it's a big yes for me as far as that's concerned. But then if we come forward a little bit and get to the lacing system, there's another detail on there that I just absolutely love. And again, it's all about those little things that they don't have to do, but when they do them, you know that the sneaker is well made and they've taken the time to maybe spend a little bit extra money, but actually give you a bit better of a product. And that's what I see when I look at this shoe. Specifically, when we look at the eyelets, if we zoom in on those guys there, you can see that each individual one, again, has that Reebok branding on there. And that, for me, is absolutely key to a really good sneaker, because you're talking about them spending the time, spending the effort, and spending the money to make this an absolutely beautiful looking sneaker. So for me, they are very, very big points on there. But then if we pan back out, we've gone through most of the upper on there. We've talked about the front, talked about the materials, talked about the heel, talked about the laces. All of that is adding up to tan and white. Mainly a white sneaker, hits of tan on there to give you that earth and that oatmeal feel about it. But now that we've panned out and you can see the whole sneaker is a oneer, you can see that they have gone with that blue outsole on there, which gives you a different sort of watery feel as opposed to that earth tone. And again, we go back to those Yeezy 380s and talk about that blue stripe on the side and how that bring a different sort of feel to an earthy sneaker to bring in that water or aqua feel. And it's the same on these guys. It's a nice little touch there. It's a different point of sort of attack, a different line for your eyes to look at, and it really sets off the rest of the sneaker nice. I don't think it would have worked if it had been black or if it had been a brown, say, gum sole. I think it's good that they went with something that contrasts with the rest of the upper, and it's a blue on there, which does indeed contrast with those earth tones from above. Then if we pan back out and look at the entire sneaker, it's just a great looking sneaker to look at. Again, I'm a bit confused about how high this guy is, because you can't not look at that and think it's higher than a low, but they're calling it a low. I don't actually know this now that I think about it. I don't know if the questions come in a mid. Maybe they just come in low and high, and then this is what the low looks like. But you could tell me again in the comments down below if there is actually a mid in there to sort of point at. But for me, it's just a great looking shoe. I know there's another Allen Iverson question coming out. I think, is it grade school or women's? I can't remember which one it is. And I'll throw up the picture here, but I can't remember the name of it. But it's coming out about a week after these ones as well. So there is a sort of push from the Reebok line to bring out those questions and bring out those Allen Iverson inspired sneakers. It might be something to do with 20 years. I have this theory about 20 years that, like films are remade 20 years later, for example. So if you think of Superman, and then 20 years later they make that, or Spider-Man, or Jurassic Park, or things like that. And so like 20 years since Allen Iverson was in his prime, and he was supported by all these teenagers and young people, 20 years later, those same people now have ready cash, so they want to dip in. It's almost like double dipping. They dip in when Allen Iverson was around, and 20 years later, they go back to the trough and try again, which I think is not just sneakers. I think it's just about everything. It's this 20-year gap between the OGs and the retros, if you like. And that's what I see this shoe being. But I don't have a problem with that, because I think it's a fine-looking shoe, and I think it has its place in that kind of pantheon of the shoes that are out there right now. For now, though, time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out my content. I do truly, truly appreciate it. It is hard work doing this every single day. Of course it is, especially under lockdown conditions, but I just keep on going. And because I keep on doing this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.